Welcome back to my channel. I am the Yarn Cat Wrangler, and this here is the white yarn cat named Take Two. And so today I'm going to put some more of these bundles of yarn onto the leg and show you how it's done. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about. In the first video you can clearly see that on the side here I did not take the bundles of yarn all the way up to the top of the body, because if you have the legs to the side you really don't see it, but if you're demonstrating particularly to YouTube, you can see. And so I'm just going to add some and see how that changes the look. Okay, so the first thing that you do, you want to make a change after, is you take your ruler, and then you're going to measure across and see how long the bundles are. So that looks like, well, it's really between 2 and 2 1/4. See what this one is measuring. 2 1/2. And what this is I took a composition book that you can get like at Walmart, and I just cut up the first and the cover, and then I'm using that instead of like cardboard box, because these are like only $1, so pretty helpful. Let's see, I don't have exactly 2 1/4. Most of them are coming up 2 1/2. Yep. This one. Just under 2 1/2. Okay, so what I do have is a bag of some that's already made. Actually, this is what I do. I make the bundles. And so it's the lengthwise that you're measuring. So from one end to the other. It's between 2 and 2 1/4. So I make you wrap them around, and it's best if you have a thought in mind as to how many times around that you want to do. Like, for instance, you take your yarn and you wrap it around, like I do, 16 times. And then you cut it. And then you have one piece of yarn and you tie it. Okay, and then what I do is I will secure the yarn on the bundle. and that's already done on these. And I'm using thread that is not the same color as whatever the yarn is, so that I can clearly see that it is marked that I have already secured it. And I just keep the extras in a generic plastic bag. And so what I'm going to do, so you have your needles. This example what mine looks like. Keep them on a piece of fleece, because there's nothing worse than misplacing your needle. It's pretty scary. Okay, so I use a needle, and I don't know the size because I didn't anticipate that one day I would be trying to explain exactly what I do. But I guarantee it is a needle that has a bigger eye. So in the future, I will try to find out what I bought or something comparable. Okay, so let me put the thread on. And this thread is Coates & Clark hand quilting. So I'm going to sew this on by hand. So you take your your thread. Okay? And if you were to use your arm as a measurement, 1, 2, 2 is probably good to start. Then I have just a little pair of kid scissors. Do a little bit paper. Okay. So I don't thread it like I've seen other people do. I just have on my reading glasses so I can see. And then I just take the knot, do it again, and I do not do that I see a lot of people do, where they could just like run their finger in their nail and then it's fine. I can't do that. I just count it. I just watch, and then I have like 3, or it depends. It could be 4 times or 5, and I just try to catch the previous knot in it, so you're making your knot bigger. So let's see, where did that bundle go? Okay, well, alright, so let me explain something about this. In a different video, maybe I'll show how to do it on this one. Okay, but what we have here is a bundle, which is about 2 1/4 long, so it'd be 2 1/2, 2 1/4 wide, about 16 times around the composition cover, and then you tie it, okay? And then what I do, I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? I will sew this string, this yarn strand, I will sew it across. Let's see, I can see it. Sew it across, and I'm also sewing through the middle and the ends, And that's so that once you are pulling these loops, they will not move. And there is a purpose, because you do not want them to move. Okay, so we're back at it. Alright, so you see the loop here? Got an important step. Remind you, I haven't shown anyone how I do this, so it's completely off the cuff. Alright, so what I do is, after I tack it, that's what I call it, tack it or secure the yarn with the thread. Now you treat each loop as separate. I mean, you could go through and cut them all, but it's just better if you do it separate. So you take your loop and you just cut it. And the reason is you want this to fan out. I mean, if you want to do it to where it's one continuous thing, but I really think it's better if you'll be doing it yourself or your yarn cat or yarn dog, so you can do it how you want. Grab two. Oh, and I wanted to give you a heads up from the beginning. I will not put out videos and have the whole thing sped up that you can watch it, without having any kind of interaction with the person putting out the video, because I would really like to build a community and somehow either like in memberships or like Facebook, that we're able, if it can't be done through YouTube, then Facebook, to where I can help you with whatever you need in the sewing and the assembling and the making the parts and the assembling. So it's not just I'm going to teach you how to do it and then hands off. I will help you with like if you get stuck on some part of it. Okay, so back to cutting the loops. Okay, and you have to be careful that you don't cut these two, and that's what's going to tie it on. It's what you use to tie it on, and sometimes you'll find that they're not long enough. So you have to cut another strand, and I really don't know the correct word. Okay, so I showed in another video that it's actually 4 strands that make up the main strand. So, I will just call it a strand until I find out what's the proper term. Sometimes you have to make another one and go ahead and tack that on. That's what I've had to do that because it's too short, because I accidentally cut it when I was cutting the loops. Okay, see how that moved? It's not supposed to move. That means I do not tack that, because nothing should move. So I take my thread back, so you can go in from the back, and then how to figure out where did that goes through. There you go. Okay, and then so you're just trying to tack it. You can see me? Then you can separate it. So you're just really going through. Using white on the doing this, but what's already there is light blue. See, even when you tack it, you can miss some loops. It's not a big deal to go in and tack it. Okay, now, since I don't really have to cut it loose, here and just keep it attached. Pick up the dog. This one. And then you have your tie right here. These two ends. Put it on. Right there. Turn it upside down. Tie it in place. Covers up more of the fleece leg. And it's actually, I would call a leg bridge, because you have the left and the right on the same piece of fleece. But if there is another name for that, I don't know. That's what I call it. Let's see here. Alright, so underneath, so you still have your thread attached. Alright, so you line it up in the middle. Push it forward as close as you can to the other one. And then there are these pieces of these strands, and they're running along the edge. So what I do is I just pick up the strand by the fleece and then sew through it. And then pull it. Push it through. Then I find the other strands that's close. You don't have to do every strand. Then I like to go across the tie and then back over like a whip stitch. So you see how you have these two ends? I don't know if you can see that. There's these two ends here. Well, you can lay them down over or right next to the tie. And you can go through the fleece. And that will tie that in place too. It will tack it in place. I'm not used to having to explain it. So all I'm doing is going to the edge. Well, for the one that you tie across, I just sew that one in place. Then if you're catching the yarn underneath, so you're just taking the edge closest to the fleece leg, and you're just going through the yarn into the fleece, I would say it's like a whip stitch. You can pick up that thread loop, pull it tight, go down to your next little bit, next. See, it fans out. It's kind of like fans out on the side, and you're just trying to catch the little bit of like this little edge here. Whatever, like you could even push it from underneath and see the yarn on this like underneath layer and you're trying to just whip stitch it in place. And that's what I do. That way, it will not spin. I come off. And you do not have to do every hair or every piece of yarn that's next to it, next to the fleece. But it adds to the look. Okay. So, when you get to the end here, this is just the one bundle. What you do is you push it up. Okay? Because you don't need to keep going all the way down. You just gotta have some that will secure it. Alright. And then, let's see. I'm going to start over on the other side. So, okay, and then with the loop, what you could do is take the loop through, take your needle through the loop, pull on it, hit it through again, pull on it, and then what I do is I just cut it off. And then I take these two pieces, ends of the thread, tie a knot, usually about 5 times. 5 times. Could be 3, could be 5, whatever. And then you are going to cut it close to the fleece. Look at this. Look at this needle picking up. Okay. Okay, that's one side done. I'm gonna just change the thread. Then I usually try to keep my I try to keep my needles on the fleece, piece of white fleece, because, like I said, it's terrible when you, annoying when you misplace it. So let's see. Alright, let's see again. Visualize it. the back. Okay, so to do the other side, it's just the same thing. Come in from underneath. Yeah. Okay, so one thing is on the bottom here. You can cut off the excess tail of the piece of thread. Okay, so let's say again. So we already did the right side. Now we're going to do the left side of the same leg. Go underneath and just so basically you do not have to hide every stitch. It's a choice. And then if it seems to be difficult to push through, what I do is I'll take the scissors, and there's a circle here, right in the middle here. I just back the thread end of the needle against it and use this to help push it. Yep. Works. Instead of a thimble. But that's just how I do it. So far, everything some things can be changed. Like if there's a good thimble and it doesn't, some kind of covers for the fingers and it doesn't mess up, and you'll just sew. Like so. Hand sew. Okay, so you're just basically doing the same thing. You're just going up, grab a piece of yarn on the side, sew through, take your needle through it, sew through it, and then you're coming up on the edge of this fleece. Okay, so I went down to the end and I whip stitch all the way back up, go across. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna go under. That on top. So on the piece that goes across, and like you might have a piece of yarn that gets in the way, just pull it out of the way. Sometimes the thread on the side wants that, you know, but want to pull through. The purpose is you're just tacking. I mean, that's on when you're doing this, it's really you're just tacking. But some of the other sewing is you're attaching. You have to sew to attach the legs. See, I use my finger to like catch the loop so I know that it's coming in straight. Then you can come underneath. And I think it's, again, I say whip stitch on the pretty much a lot of it is a whip stitch. Because you're just going through the yarn and you can, some of it you are hiding the stitches, but not all. Like I said. Then you can go even in like into this side. Go up to the top through the fleece to the outside part of the fleece should be considered the outside or top. You can just cut that off, cut it off, give yourself bunches, then tie it. Okay, and then you do the same thing where you do the same thing where you are cutting it down close to your knots. And then, like, if you have pieces that's sticking out on the side too much, after you make sure that it's in the middle, then you could just cut them off. But once you cut it off, you can't put it back on. But you can sew another piece of yarn there. And even the pieces on the side can come out being too long. So you can cut them. The ties that you tie the bundle on, that's what you do. So you're trying to blend it into the hair. It's there to be part of the leg. I'm just throwing it everywhere. So now, when you look at it, you don't see as much, but you still see a little bit. There. Which means another bundle can't go there. Already looks better. It's for the look of the leg, like from demonstrations when I was showing on my videos. So you don't really want that to be showing, so it could have another one. You want it to, yeah, see, now it looks like it, I know it could use another one. So that's basically how you tie it on. You make the bundle, you secure it if you're using my method, and then you're either going to have a piece long enough to wrap it with, or you will have to cut a piece and then sew that. That's the best thing to do. And you gotta keep up with those ends so you don't accidentally cut them. And this particular look, I cut the loops because this is the look. It's supposed to be like straight hair instead of the loops are supposed to simulate curly hair. So that's how I do the that's how you would just if you want to add bundles to the hair, to the leg, and if the bundles are simulating the yarn fur or fur of the animals. It's to simulate. Okay, and I wanted to say that back 40 years ago, I went to cosmetology school, and because I was interested in theatrical makeup, and that particular school was the closest thing to, or cosmetology, or back in the day it might have been called cosmetology, but it was definitely referred to as beauty school. And so that was the closest thing to theatrical makeup, which I don't think that they had theatrical makeup in the class, and if they did, I was absent that day. But I graduated, but I did not go for the state board, so I am a cosmetology school graduate, but I no license. I never went for the state board, but I continue to use what I learned in my own hair, doing my own hair, and don't you know that someone who went to cosmetology school would, try to do their hair like this? Meaning, you don't see that every day. And I obviously do it because I like it and I, want, just want to be different. And so, okay, so there was a reason I brought that up. I used what I learned in cosmetology school in the making of these yarn animals, the yarn cats and dogs, because I'm essentially taking this yarn, a skein of yarn, and then, like, if it was all white, it'd be one skein of yarn. And the thing that makes me different from the crochet and the knitting people is because I only have to have one skein for the project. Unless I'm doing multiple colors, then I will have a skein for each, and if I've used that skein on something else and I still have some of it left, then I can just, you know, use that. So I get to pick the colors and only have to have one, which is fantastic. Now, sometimes I may have two, but it really depends on if I have made, like, multiple examples of the tail, or, different versions of the tail, or I made the body in a different style, how the hair is, and then I may have extra, but that never goes to waste, because you can use it on a different animal. And I mean, another cat, another dog. But knowing hair and how hair grows, and just how you take care of hair, really helped in not being afraid to use yarn as the fur of the animal. So I didn't have to actually go to the fleece with the faux fur. I could just use yarn, secure it in place, and it works just fine. Now, I wouldn't say that you should brush it, but to be able to maneuver it with your hands, which in the beauty industry it's called finger combing. And my first video is 15 minutes of me finger combing the hair, the yarn fur of the cat. And, it's because the reason that you can do that is because the yarn is secure in place. So you can fluff it up, move it around, and it's just fine. I think it's fantastic. So, my going to cosmetology school 40 years ago, it wasn't a waste. Yeah, see, this one looks really furry. I mean, fluffy. Yeah, so part of the fun is actually moving the hair out of the way, because it's soft. Yarn is soft. I really didn't know that much about yarn when I was growing up. I made the wire coat hanger dogs, but I didn't have an opinion about yarn. But I have really grown to love yarn. And I really like using the buttons. And I think I've already said that. But because, you get to change the colors, it's really fantastic as well. Get to change the colors. This one has a heart shape for the nose. This is felt for the tongue. So I really wasn't expecting to make a yarn animal and want to turn it into a business. I wasn't expecting that to happen. I really wasn't expecting, when I made my first yarn cat, that I would want to turn it into a business. But it's just fun making these.